Hi, everyone. Ronnie Rowe back again this week for another YouTube channel video that I do once a week. I think people have enjoyed these. I've enjoyed doing them. They're a lot of fun for me. I get to talk about some things that I'm doing and answering some questions from the folks out there that have so kindly put stuff out, asking me questions about. One, I did have a question this week, was a lady got in touch with me about one of my designs that she was having problems reading the symbols. And this is one on my newest one. It was baseball, matter of fact. And I think that particular design has 12 sheets in it, and she was having some difficulty. So what I did was took the design and sent her the PDF file, and got a response for them. That really helped a lot. So what I'm telling everyone out there, if you get one of my designs and you're having a problem reading it for whatever reason, everything, get in touch with me and I'll send you a PDF file of that. I mean, no cost anything to you. I mean, just to try to help you out with your stitching for these designs. But anyway, that is available. I want you to keep that in mind. Other thing I want to talk about today also is down the bottom, where am I? Corner down here, it has my SD site along with RonnieRoweDesigns.com and my YouTube. You can click on those during the broadcast at any time and see what's available on SD and also the website. Another question I had this week, it was one that was hard to answer, easy to answer, but hard also. A good friend of mine in the business from out in Colorado, no, I'm sorry, Utah, got in touch with me and wanted to know on my SD and website why there aren't more designs, new designs being put on those sites. Well, the easy answer is I don't have any new designs. What I'm working on right now is my new designs. I probably do at the maximum 5 a year. I don't normally put out more than 3, 4, 5 a year, and because it takes me so long to sit down and stitch them and get everything right, and so I just don't put out a lot of designs that and what I do put out are ones that I really put a lot of thought into, something that I like and not just the sake of putting a design. So I just do that. And that's what I've always done. And I'm sure I'll continue doing that in the future. Going to have a story for you this week about cross stitch. Something happened to me in cross stitch years and years ago. We're going to talk more about morning light. That's the new design I have out. And I'm going to be showing you after I get through talking here. I'll be showing you the next part of this video. One of the programs I use is Affinity Photo, and I've already put Morning Light into that program, and I'm working it. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I can do with that program as far as getting the light, the shadows, and whatever you need for a particular drawing, painting, or whatever you've done. So I think you're going to find that interesting. I'm not going to take you through the whole design process and everything because it really will take a long time, and I don't want to bore you with all that, but I'm going to show you each week something different. Affinity photo this week. Next week we're going into a program called graphics. That's where we do the X and O's, and finally after that we'll be putting it into Keynote, where I do the actual publication and putting the work out. Morning light, where I am, I've been stitching a lot this week. I've got to the point where the light's coming down. If you can tell, let me get up here. See if I can get it right. Yeah, everything over this side here is complete. This is just 5 rows at the top of this design. And this particular row right here is number 25, I believe, across the top. So it would be on my sheet 125. And I've got it to the point now with the sky. I got the light coming down. I think I know how I'm going to get everything done around the little building I'm putting down there and the pathway going back. So anyway, that's what I've been working on that this week. So I made some progress. It's going to be, before I finish this, it's going to be another month and a half of stitching. I mean, this is going to take a while. And this design is 280 by the 180. That's what we cut the material to from, if you remember one of the previous videos. So anyway, that is Morning Light. Other thing happened this week that I got a chance to do was build a frame for Morning Light. This is my frame. I went out, I put it on a router, did all of the routing along here with a little cove, and on the back of it, don't look at the back of it, that's a mess. But did all the rabbits around the back right in here for the glass to fit in. And this design, this frame was built for Morning Light, which is 180 by 280, and allowing 3 inches all the way around. So the frame is already done, all varnished, stained, which I thought was going to look good with this picture. And so we'll see how it turns out. But you'll see this in the upcoming weeks, I'm sure, when we finish this. An older design. People ask me about my older designs, and I want to show you. Oh, before I get to older designs, you remember this? This was, so I got glass in it now, snowbound, all with glass in it. I showed you last time without the glass, and I put the glass in it, cleaned it all up, and you can see that's how snowbound turned out. Got the hanger on the back and everything with the metal frame. So that's ready to go. That's a finished project right there. The design is out on my Etsy site as long as my website. And anyway, pretty easy stitch design. Took a little while to do, but enjoyable anyway. Another design that I had done in the past that I wanted to show you this week is one I did several years ago. And this was called Hog Heaven. And this was a big design. This was a lot of work. This is, again, with the metal frame, but this is Hog Heaven, where I took a house and took 2 old motorcycles and blended all those in. And a lot of ways I did this, I did with Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo, which you can see shortly. But anyway, that's the way that turned out. That's Hog Heaven, and I named it Hog Heaven because the 2 motorcycles hogs. So anyway, I liked it, got good response from it. And this is one probably I'm going to put into the Woodlawn Plantation show up in near DC this coming spring or early spring. So anyway, that's my plan anyway. So that is Hog Heaven. I told you about a story. When I first got into cross stitch, and this was before distributors, this was before color leaflets and everything. I made up my mind. I was doing homes of buildings and everything, so I decided to go to a festival, a fall festival. Regardless of where you live, everyone has craft shows, festivals, fall festivals, spring festivals. But we had a real big one here where I'm located in Newport News, Virginia. It was a fall festival, and so I decided I had some pictures that I could sell and some of my black and white patterns. So I decided to get into the show and just see what I could do. And one thing I had been doing before getting into the show was I was doing a lot of custom work. I was going by taking people I knew, really, going by, take a picture of the house, developing, lay it all out, and do a cross stitch design, a finished product of an individual's home. And that was from start to finish, doing all the design work, doing all the stitching, doing everything, framing, matting it, putting it all together. And what they got was a finished product. And a lot of people seemed to like it. I mean, and I enjoyed it. Now, I was putting a lot of hours into this thing. I mean, it's a hobby, I was putting a lot of hours for what you got. I think I was charging $400 or $500 or something like it for a finished picture. But I mean, I was putting 200 or 300 hours into this thing easily. So I mean, if you looked at it, what you were making an hour, you're living in the woods, foraging off of nuts and berries with that. So, but anyway, I went to Fall Festival and I had purchased myself one of these tents. And you've all seen the tents at art shows where they have the canvas and the stainless steel or the metal frames and everything. So I purchased one of those, and I went to Fall Festival and set up everything in the park where I out in a space, a 10 by 10 space. And one of the things I was going to do was put up a sign, say, ask about having your home done in counted cross stitch. Now, I was still trying to sell some of the pictures I'd done, and of course, some of the black and white patterns. But my goal was to get somebody, hey, for this, to do somebody's home and everything. I thought that would be kind of cool and everything to do that. So the festival was a 3-day festival, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I decided I'm gonna charge $500. I'm gonna put up sign $500 to have this done. Within 2 hours of the show, starting on Friday, I had gotten 5 orders already. I mean, this was 2 hours into the show, and I took my sign down because 5 of these things, it would take me a year. It'd take me too long to do, and so couldn't take any more the way I was doing it, doing all the cross stitch and framing and everything. And I told the people there that put those orders in that it would be quite a while, and they understood, and that was fine and everything. And I had a little thing drawn up. I took a portion of. I had a down payment because I didn't want to go do a complete picture. Spend a couple hundred hours doing something, and then somebody comes and say, I've changed my mind. We don't want it anymore. Well, what am I going to do with it? But anyway, I got those. And so right before that morning, early that morning, I had a whole crowd of people around my booth. I mean, I had them 3 and 4 tiers, and I'm going through my spiel about, hey, here's what I do. I'll do your home and county cross stitch. What I do is come out and I'll take photographs, and after the photographs, we'll come down, look at them, draw it, blah, 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 doing all that. Well, there's this gentleman and his wife standing in the corner. And this guy, you could tell he didn't want to be at no fall festival. He wanted to be out fishing. He wanted to be hunting. He didn't want to be drug up to some craft show, some festival on a pretty Friday morning. I mean, he wanted to be out hunting, fishing, doing something. And he certainly didn't want to sit there and listen to some guy sitting there talking about cross stitch. I mean, so anyway, he sit there, and I'm going through my whole spiel, and of course he's got a little chain on his jeans, and he's got his cat hat on with cat written across. It's an outdoors guy, and so he'd been drug up there by his wife. I know that. Well, anyway, I'm going through this big spill about having your home done in cross stitch, and as soon as I said that, she looks out and she bellows out with all these people, and she says, "Oh, look, honey, we can have our home done in county cross stitch." Well, this guy didn't miss a beat. He turns around, he says, "Sweetheart, we already got I'm not going to use the word, done in brick." Like that, everybody about rolled. And he grabbed her and walked away and everything. But he told everybody he'd already had the home done in brick. He didn't need it done in cross stitch. So anyway, yeah, I guess it was one of those stories you had to be there. It was funny. I mean, everybody's falling on the ground at that. So, but anyway, that's a little story of Ronnie Rowe's cross stitch before the distributor back a long, long time ago at Fall Festival. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to turn this portion off and go over and show you what we can do with Affinity Photo on morning light. And after that, I'll come back and say a few words, and we'll call it a wrap for this week. So stay tuned. What you're looking at right now on your screen is Affinity Photo. And across the top of Affinity Photo, we have a lot of things. We won't go into everything that these buttons do, or down the left-hand side. We use a lot of these down the left-hand side to create and do various things with a particular photo. The most important thing of Affinity Photo is over here on the right-hand side. And all of these are my layers. After I put this picture in, after we get everything put in, this, the picture I've been showing you, that's where we put it in, and then we layer everything else up to change that particular picture. For instance, if I go up here to this one and I cut it, you can see the change when I click that on. When I click that button on, I've got a change there. When I click this one on, I got rid of some things in the tree. You can see the tree changing because I wanted to see some light through the tree. Again, that one is over the right-hand side. And what I did in here was take a paintbrush and paint with white over here so that I could get rid of not the harsh look of some clouds. And you can see that go away when I click on that. A white adjustment right here. This is a black and white adjustment I've come up with. I did. This one here is getting an outline showing the various, how big this thing is, and that color will go away, fade into nothing with what we call masking on this. I won't get into all of that. That's really getting into the program. Brightness, obviously, and then I went through the another adjustment I made to it. And then when you get down to the bottom line, now we're getting to what I was talking about, the light. All of this still isn't right here. I had to do a lot of adjustments down in here, and also the light coming down in this area. And here is my shed I put in there with a big bush in front of it and a tree, and this is my pathway going back down into the woods, if you will. When I got all of that, and then my main thing, when I take and cut this one off, if I cut this one off and this one, if I cut all of those off, you'll see it coming together now, my morning light. And voila, there we go. But we still got a lot of work to do with this. We got the haystack down here with some wood across it. We've merged all of this in. I'm not sure I like the way I drug that out, or the bush here. That's wrong. This is way too dark up in the sky area right here, but I do have a concept coming down with a light onto the shed through this sky, the morning sky. The red I put in here earlier, this was something just to colorize a tree, if you will, but I'm going to take that out, so we'll get rid of that. What I normally do with this right now is a lot of things I can do. I can go over here to my eraser brush, and that's the size of my brush. And ever what layer I'm on, I pick that layer there. I can go through here, as you can see, and I can erase things. Now, I'm not going to save this because I don't want to mess up what I've done, but I can sit here and erase certain things, and I erase it based on the occupancy, the flow, and the hardness. In other words, if I did 100% up here, 100 and 100, it would really, if I made that 100 and the flow 100 and the hardness 100, then when I erase, you can see what's happening. It's going to really erase everything. So you got to be careful with that and know what settings you want, not erase it. But you can erase various things in the background as layers. You can pick individual layers and do that. I'm going to do a Control-Z and get out of that right now. The another thing that I do, that I like to do with mine, is I come over here to the drop brush tool. This is a burn brush and a dodge brush. A dodge brush is no more than, if I go into this area here, I want to lighten it up some, I can take and lighten this thing up automatically like that. Or vice versa, if I go into a burn brush, I can go through and make it darker and clean all that up. That can be cleaned up with a mask, so that's not a problem. But the light down in here coming, that took a little bit of that away. So with this picture, you can also go up here to various filters above this thing. We can do lighting filter on this, where it will take a light, if you will. I can direct certain lights on certain images if I want to go to. So that's another very useful tool, and the intensity of the lights. And when you do that, it'll put light right on that one area. So anyway, I'm gonna do Control-Z and get back out of that. Another thing at Affinity Designer that I use a lot, and these three buttons up here, this is a photo persona, this is a liquefied persona, and a developed persona. And this one here is a tone mapping persona. I use these a lot in my designs. Like I can go in here to this persona, just to give you an example, and I can sit there now and I can brush on a certain area to make that area red. And what that does, that enables me to go over here to my palette and I can lighten stuff up like so. I can do the black points on this. I can do the brightening contrast. I can do contrast. I can do colors and anything I really want to do with that particular brush. I also have available, let's cancel that. I also have available under this persona, I can do a twirl, if you will. I can take this down here and I can twirl something around. I can move stuff. I can take, and let's say apply right here, and that applied that, what I just did to that. Now, what you see down here, this was a blending tool that I went through over here on this side, a smudge brush, if you will, where I can take something, and all depends on the intensity, the flow, and the strength. The flow, let's make the flow down here something around 24, and the strength, I don't know, strength 50 is okay, but let's drop it down 23 or so. And then you'll see it's a more subtle type thing. What I'm getting here, it's hard to see there, but it is a subtle that I'm doing to this. And you can do this to all areas of your particular design. Of course, obviously, I can go inside. I can take anything in here and change all this I want to. I can recolor things. I can move stuff around until I get exactly what I want with this particular design. Another thing is this this particular one right here is, I don't see my size up there. I don't know why, but anyway, I can take this one and I know right now by moving this down, this is 1582 pixels. Well, 1582 pixels, that would be in a cross-stitch equivalent of a huge, huge design. You certainly wouldn't want to start with something that big. So once I get this design all finished in what I want in various layers, now I'm working across the top right now because that's what I'm stitching, these various layers, then I will take the whole thing right here and I will take and drag that thing down until I get something 300, let's say 299. It came to 299 pixels. And then with 299 pixels, I can go up and I can export this. And I'm exporting this. It says it's 2000 pixels, but I'm exporting this whole thing. And I'm going to call this, for the sake of argument, I'll call it 666. And I'll say save. So 666 now comes over, and there is my, this is not in Affinity, this is not Affinity Photo no more. This is in a mapping program. And so I can sit down there now with this one, and you don't see what I'm going to, but I go up to the various, on this particular one, well, it's not letting me show it right now. So anyway, but what I'll do with Affinity Photo, I will get rid of that, and whoop, maybe I didn't want to get rid of that. So, but anyway, I'll copy this and put it into another program, graphics, and next week I'll show you all about the X and O's. So this is a little bit about how I go about putting something together, or various objects or things that interest me, and this one is Morning Light. So I don't know how informative this was to you about the design process that I go to, but this is just one of the programs I use. This is probably the most complicated one to use. The next one, graphics, isn't as complicated, and a Keynote, which is very similar to PowerPoint, certainly isn't either. So, but anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this gives you some perspective about what I go through with building a design. And so anyway, appreciate you listening. Okay, I found that difficult to be able to talk what I was doing and showing you the affinity photo, but I hope you got the idea of what I'm going through when I build a design and color a design and figure out what I want, what I like, and moving objects around. It'll let you do lots and lots of things with objects, and so that you create, and you can color them, you can paint them, you can do just about anything you can dream of to do them, and so do with those particular designs. So, but anyway, next week, we're going to take this 666 that we just created, and we're going to put that and show you how I take that, size it down what it originally was, and then take that particular design and everything, and we'll go from there into our graphics program and everything, and take the grids and everything. So we'll get there next week, or maybe the week after. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm gonna keep working on Morning Light. This has been a busy week for me. We've had a lot going on. The weather's been great. I hope the weather's good where you are. So anyway, I gotta go get some eyes examined tomorrow, and the rest of the week I'm doing a fundraiser for a dear friend of mine at the YMCA right now that I go to every morning. I talk about my swimming. We've got a lady been there for years and years. She's part of the janitorial crew at the Y, and she's going through a bout with lung cancer and chemo right now. So doing a fundraising for her at the Y, so that's taking some time. And so, but anyway, hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody enjoyed this. And again, this week, come back and see me. And any comments, please put the comments down there. If you like it, you don't like it, you want to know something, just ask me. Be glad to tell you. So anyway, hope you have a very, very safe week. Bye-bye.